recently became card-carrying Our Revolution movement builders. Our Revolution kicked off our 2021 membership drive last month. You can support our movement as a sustaining member for as little as $5 or more per month. And you can also sign up at the link in the chat. That link will be put in the chat as we speak to sign up to become an Our Revolution movement builder. Please help us in sustaining the organization and hiring organizers to take on the establishment and transform this country and the party. And like I said, you can sign up in the link in the chat or go to rrev.us/CA member. I'm sorry, rrev.us/CA/MEM. And so thank you so much. And we're going to go ahead and actually kick this event off. Again, we're having a California Democratic Party candidate town hall. We have some awesome activists that are running to reform the party. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get to work on introducing our co-hosts. Our co-hosts are really great friends of mine from Orange County, activists and organizers. I'll start with Dr. Betty Valencia. Ran in her red sneakers for city council in Orange and was instrumental in the now election by district change behind the Orange Curtain in the city of Orange. She served as Central Vice Chair Emeritus of the Democratic Party of Orange County. In 2019, Betty was named both Woman of the Year and one of OC Register's top 100 influencers in Orange County. And we also have Reverend William Moses Somerville. Reverend William Moses Somerville, is from Orange County as well. He's a professional and he has professional experience in public service. He began working as an Air Force chaplain and later progressed now to spiritual care support roles in hospitals, academia, and as the pastor of Kingdom Come Community Church in LA, Orange County. He was elected as 46th Congressional District Delegate of California in support of Democratic presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders, both in 2016 and 2020. And from 2017 to 2019, he was an elected delegate of the 73rd Assembly District in the California Democratic Party, where he was an avid supporter for Our Revolution endorsed CDP chair candidate Kimberly Ellis. Without further ado, I introduce to you William and Betty.
Thank you so much. Buenas noches, Democrats. Buenas noches, progressives. My name is Betty Valencia, and I welcome you to this California candidate town hall. My name again is Betty Valencia, and I'm here with
Reverend William Moses Somerville. Glad to co-host with you, Betty. Look forward to a good night tonight. We are gathered here today because voting for the California Democratic Party officers and regional director is now underway. In California, for those California delegates, we ask you to check your email to make sure you follow instructions in the email with your unique codes in order to vote. And for those that are not delegates within or out of our state of delegation, we encourage you to reach to delegates in California and recommend these candidates you hear tonight that you support. The first list of candidates that I will be calling off are Norma Alcala. She's running for state controller or California Democratic Party controller. We have Diana Love, and she's running for California State Secretary, California Democratic Party State Secretary. And also we have the Cindi Duran, who's running for regional director of the district of the 15th district here in California, which are a conglomeration of assembly districts all wrapped into one, hence one region. Betty.
Very good, thank you. And we have our revolutionary, Victor Valladares, representing AD 72, running to be our Region 17 representative. We also have David Campos, who we will be hearing shortly a statement. He will not be joining us tonight, but there is a statement that will be read. And of course, trying to reform our party, the one and only Delaine Eastin, running for chair. And really happy to have everybody here and welcome. I want to just let you know that the way this is going to proceed is you're going to be asked 2 questions. Remember that you have 3 minutes to answer the question. You've been doing this a long time. All of you are answering these questions over and over, but tonight we really want to have this critical conversation with all of our community here. And we just ask that you answer as thoughtfully and truthfully and as critical as you can. We're here to really change the party, and we need to hear that kind of voice. So please remember, you have 3 minutes, and we're going to really push you if we don't hear kind of the answer that we were looking for. Hopefully you feel comfortable answering as you would in any family.
So, to our first candidate, tell us about yourself and why, first question, excuse me, for our candidates. Tell us about yourself and why you are running. What kind of reforms do you want to see in the California Democratic Party? Once again, you have 3 minutes to answer.
Are you going to call on us individually?
Yes.
This is Norma speaking.
Yes, let's go with Norma Alcala.
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, I represent the Latino, progressive, Green New Deal wing of the party. I'm an elected ADEM from 7, and I've been running on the progressive labor slate since 2012. I'm a grassroots organizer. I was an SEIU steward, and I was elected to be president of my local 768. I am vice chair for my Yolo County Democratic Central Committee, been involved, on a very active level with my Central Committee, serving as their fundraising chair. And I am also a former school board member where I brought single member districts into West Sacramento. Before that, we had at large, and we know one of the most important things of the Democratic Party platform in order to get diversity and true equity is to have single member districts. So I fought for it and got it. Now that I am a city council member in West Sacramento, I'm trying to do the same thing there. And, I think the most important thing about when you're elected is sometimes you have to make those hard decisions. You have to, you just can't be a rubber stamp. For example, in a lot of areas, we have problems with not having enough affordable housing. And what's happening is a lot of people are taking money from developers. And then the developers they tell, oh no, well, we're going to give you like 23,000. We're not going to build these 2 apartment units. And then what happens is, the city will say, well, we can build more. But the problem is we're still missing those 2 affordable housing units, and there's no timeline whatsoever. So I've been a real strong and critical opponent of, the rubber stamp and platitudes that we see, just choking, progress within the Democratic Party. So within the party, I've been on the credentials committee. I've served on the voter services. And while I was on voter services, I co-wrote a manual on high school voter registration and civic engagement. And I have registered 11,000 young people. And on my own dime, I've traveled all the way to Eureka with Helen Rouvier, who was part of the environmental caucus. She was actually chair at one time, and down to with Margie Castellanos down in San Diego. I've gone up and down in Tulare, in those areas that are red with Elaine Hagan, and I have done training, and it's really important that we get training because we're Democratic Party activists, but the party doesn't really give us defined roles. And that's one of the things we need to do within the party. We have to give people a reason for being a delegate, a reason for growing our party. And that's not happening. What happens is right now, the way the bylaws are written, we have an autocracy, not a democracy going on. So one of my hopes is to get in there, rewrite some of these bylaws and actually have an action plan. Because, politics can be exciting. And that's what we do on the high school level. We should be doing it on all levels. So just to go a little further, I'm going to just sort of enumerate some of the things that I believe in, and I miss them, so that's why I wrote them down for you guys. I believe in an end to the filibuster, packing those courts, amnesty for dreamers, single payer, controlling climate change, defending voting rights. 4 years, I heard Delaine talking about that, and I couldn't be more on board with her because we really need 4 years of college. So what should the Democratic Party Executive Board be doing? What should all of us be doing? We should be out there lobbying all the time for these reforms that we talk about. But sometimes within the party, all we do is talk about it, and we're not walking the walk. So I'm running for controller because I believe in transparency and accountability. And we took a pledge as delegates, 3,000 of us, and we passed a resolution not to accept dark money. And what did we do? Write off 300,000, from Sempra Energy. So, you know, to me, this is, it's a broken promise. It's just more of the same old same. So we have to have people that are gonna, say no. And we also have to open our books. You know, the Democratic Party takes in money and no one knows, where it's coming from. They have a site that says California Dems and follow the money. And you see where some of the money's coming from, but that's not the only, source of revenue. I think it's really important that all our activists know where this money's coming from. And that's what my hopes are. Also, just to let you know about some of the endorsements I've gotten them from like Senator Ana Caballero, the Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, but most importantly, I've gotten them from people I work with on a constant and consistent basis, which are the chairs of certain caucuses, from the chair of the Environmental Caucus, from the Veterans Caucus, and the Progressive Caucus, Irish American, and the Children's Caucus. These are very important caucuses because they reach out to demographics within California that sometimes the party forgets about. My hope for the party in reform is also that we have within our bylaws, within our structure that we write, where we have diversity. Currently on the standing committee,
We have
there
15 seconds.
Oh,
Norma.
I'm sorry,
We have
real
15.
quick.
Yeah.
Okay, on the standing committee, we don't have a single Latino on there. And when Latinos make up 40% of the the population here in California, not to have that representation and leadership within the party, that's a bad thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to introduce who's next? Because we need to, I forgot to do something, but Betty?
Sure. Thank you, Norma, for that great answer. Why don't we hear a little bit from Diana Love? Are you in the house, Diana?
I am.
Let's hear it.
How are you?
Very good. Welcome tonight to this incredible forum.
Thank you all for the invitation. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit of how my life and how I got started into the political arena. My career started with the introduction to a lady that owns several board and care homes throughout Los Angeles County, ranging from Los Angeles to Little Rock. And she trained me and I became a volunteer in her and a manager in some of her homes over the years. There was a lot of caregiving opportunities that I did throughout along the way. From there, I went on to work for a company called Work-Life Benefits as a child and elder care consultant. And I was there for about 5 to 7 years, I believe. It's been a while. And due to a tragedy, the CEO, who was in his early 30s, I think he's around 36 years old, he was killed. He was on the plane that hit the Pentagon for 9/11, and the company did not survive. And from there, I went on to volunteer with other organizations in the healthcare field. From there, I started in my city where I live, which is Palmdale. And my community work began with a dream that I had always had to walk in a parade. And I was invited to walk in this parade. And the parade was with several representatives from many labor unions. And it was called Antelope Valley Community Labor Coalition. And from there, I became a member, followed by being involved in LA County Central Committee, and then the state. And then that's where my accomplishments began. So from there, I've had more than 25 years of service, of public service, and I have traveled all the 58 counties. I am also the current Region 9 Regional Director, and that takes in Assembly Districts 26, 36, 33, and 40, covers 5 counties. And I am an advocate for at-risk youth, LGBTQ plus rights, mental health, legislation, progressive values, and a healthy, sustainable way of living, and much more. And I want to see shared governance while working alongside the state party to win democratic elections. By doing that, I want to support the visions of clubs and central committees. I believe that we should always live up to our values. And I support progressive values, which are Medicare for all and the Green New Deal and student loan cancellation and living wage, and AB 1400, which is the guaranteed health care. I believe in transparency, and in order to do that, we have to have trust and advance policies. And I want to help recruit the next generation of youth that are coming up. We have to
15 seconds.
Oh, it's important to involve in activism. And some of the reforms I want to do very quickly is to work more closely with regional directors. And because of what happened with the ADEM election, we need input from everyone as to what happened, why, what suggestions you want to see go forward.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So we're going to hear from David Campos. What has transpired? Unfortunately, he had a family dilemma that came up, and we're going to hear from one of his staff to share of what has happened. And so I would like to introduce to some and present to others, Miss Jackie Prager.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie. I'm David's campaign manager. David sends his apologies. He couldn't be here. He had a death in the family, and he's been helping his parents get the affairs in order all day. So I'm here instead. I'm a little less exciting, but happy to be here with y'all. For those of you who haven't heard David's story before, he immigrated to the United States when he was 14 with his family. They were fleeing political turmoil in Guatemala, and he grew up in South Central LA as an undocumented individual. And that is a large part of why he wanted to become a Democrat. The Democratic Party was the only party that spoke about his family with humanity and respect and dignity, the same respect that everyone should be allotted in this country. David went on to be a former supervisor of San Francisco. During that time, he fought for really important progressive legislative reforms, including closing a loophole that allowed our city to create universal health care for residents years before the Affordable Care Act passed nationally. He also passed other initiatives like free public transit for youth, which really impacted the lives of our youth in San Francisco, especially those who come from working families. And as a member of the Board of Supervisors, he really dedicated his career to fighting for working people. After he termed out of the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco, he was hired by our neighboring county, Santa Clara, as a county executive. During that time, he helped create the Office of Gender-Based Violence Prevention to protect workers from gender-based harassment, assault, and violence. He also helped create the Office of Labor Standard Enforcement to protect workers from exploitation, especially wage theft, which was an issue at the time. David's currently the Chief of Staff to our District Attorney, Chesa Boudin, and their office has been pushing for really important criminal justice reform. For example, they ended cash bail in San Francisco, and we actually filed the first criminal charges against a police officer in our city's history. David's also currently the chair of the San Francisco Democratic Party. He's my chair, and he knows firsthand that our state party can do a lot more to support the local central committees and the local clubs. He's running for vice chair to empower the grassroots of our Democratic Party and to ensure that our local Democratic clubs and our local central committees have the training and the resources to win tough elections and also advance the progressive values that our party holds and should continue to hold. David is really proud to be a Bernie Sanders progressive. He voted for Bernie twice. He's also an organizer who isn't afraid to challenge power, but also has a really incredible record of getting things done. He's been endorsed by Shirley Weber, Ash Kalra, California Democrats, and many unions, including SEIU 2015, NUHW, UFC, W Local 5. And he would be honored to have your support for CDP Vice Chair. Again, really sorry he couldn't be here, but happy that you had me.
Thank you, Jackie. Please do let him know our condolences, and we wish him the best.
Thank you. Is it okay if I put our contact info in the chat?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So next, representing AD 72 and running for Region Director of the Region 17, we introduce Victor Valladares. Come on up, Victor.
Gracias, Beatriz. Buenas tardes, greetings, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Victor Valladares, a proud re-elected Central Committee member and now duly elected again for the Central Committee, for the California Democratic Party. I am here because I want to do something that we did locally as elected officers for the Democratic Party. We want to bring transformational, not reform the party, but transform the party. That's one of the main reasons why I want to continue my advocacy, not only at the local level, but at the state level. We know that this party has, for far too long, made promises, made campaign promises, but they talk the talk, they do the talking during the campaign, but they failed to push policies and fail to believe in our state party platform. I am here as a proud Senator Bernie Sanders for President 2020 delegate, DNC delegate, and as a former staffer here in California, in Orange County, in Puerto Rico. I am proud to stand for progressive values, for a living wage and Medicare for all, and a Green New Deal and immigration reform, right? So the reason that I'm running for Region 17 Regional Field Director, we've known that the party has done very limited outreach to grassroots activists to get involved. I started off as my political activism in 2015, and slowly but surely, I started learning through the ropes and firsthand experiences from other Central Committee members, along with Dr. Beatriz Valencia, right, to bring transformative change and not conform to the establishment, right? I do believe in term limits, and which is one of the things that I would do as your director, as regional director, is create term limits to empower individuals that want to wake up the next day. I want to get in this party. I believe I can run, and we got to uplift our new generation. So for anybody that tells people you're not experienced, we all start from something, right? We all started from the bottom. When we're on top, what we do, we got to uplift our brothers and sisters. So what I would do as a regional director for Region 17 at the state party, I would coordinate with the grassroots activists, create a center to educate folks on how to become Central Committee members or join our caucuses. That's very important.
15 seconds, Victor.
And join our caucuses to make transformative change for our party. So please, a vote for me will be a vote for the people. I humbly request your vote for Region 17. Thank you.
Cheers, Victor.
Thank you, Victor. The next candidate we will have is the young lady. She's running for Region 15 of the state of California, and her name is Cindi Duran. Cindi, you're up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cindi Duran, pronouns she, her. I'm a newly elected delegate in Assembly District 57. I'm running for regional director for Region 15. I'm a first-generation immigrant raised by a single mother who taught me to be compassionate, strong, and resilient. Qualities that have come in handy in life and running in this election. In 2017, I began volunteering with Planned Parenthood because I felt the urgency to step up and really fight for an organization who is far too often the sole healthcare provider for many communities. I got to work and began phone banking, canvassing, and sharing my personal story on behalf of candidates who've championed women's rights and reproductive justice. I've registered new voters, including bilingual voters, and lobbied for bills both in Sacramento and DC. As a lead volunteer for Planned Parenthood, I've gained the experience of recruiting a diverse coalition of young volunteers to join this movement. It's because of those efforts from volunteers that Planned Parenthood has kept its doors open and has been seeing patients all throughout this pandemic. I'm running for regional director because I know exactly how to bring a very valuable resource to the party, volunteers and their time. I know how important it is to distribute those resources throughout the region where it's most needed. And as a regional director, I want to provide the space that allows us to connect and talk about what's working and what's not working in our respective counties as we push for progressive policies. I think we can learn a lot from each other because in these fights that are against Republicans, it is crucial that we have a unified message. I'm a Justice Democrat slate member that was endorsed by DSA when I ran to be a delegate and was endorsed by Sunrise and PDN. We elected 3 college students and other young activists in the Assembly District 57. And we want to bring that same energy to Region 15. I really hope I can count on your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindi. Thank you so much. And now next we have running for chair of our party, the People's Party, Delaine, please come on up. If you don't know Delaine, just grab a drink right now. Pay attention, listen up. Here we go. Delaine, give us your 3 minutes.
Delaine.
Well, thank you so much. I am running to become the next chair of the California Democratic Party this year because I'm very concerned about what happened in November. I saw us lose too many key propositions and 4 congressional seats, a third of those lost in the entire nation, even though the top of our ticket won by a huge margin. I listened to Democrats who reached out to me and asked me to run. I believe we could have won those seats and more if we had better leadership and management and engaged more effectively with the communities in those districts. I'm also very concerned in general for the party. I have friends whose children are not registering as Democrats. No party preference is what they're saying because they do not know what we stand for. I have friends who are leaving the party and say they'll come back if the party stands for something. But to some of the points that have been made earlier, we have to become much more engaged as delegates to see changes in this party. The culture of favoritism and intimidation within our party should not exist. Some are disenchanted because they don't see us as aggressively championing the issues that we profess to care about, be it Medicare for all or the environment. We say we will fight to pass legislation to forgive student debt, yet year after year after year, those issues are on hold and so on. So with respect to party reforms, we will develop a plan for shared governance to democratize the Democratic Party. That's it. There is too much power in the hands of the chair, from appointments to fundraising decisions. And when that happens, people begin to feel powerless or irrelevant. We will also create a culture of inclusive management, transparent decision-making, and a vision that grows our party while bringing back those who feel left out today. I have no interest in holding all the power or the decision-making in the California Democratic Party. In addition, I want to create a better training ground within our party and build credibility and understanding where there is transparency about how and why decisions are made. It'll also create better decision-making bodies within the party and won't, and will make sure it's much more diverse, not just in ethnicity and gender, but in age and political views and interests. In addition, no one person should be in charge of appointments. It creates the risk of undue influence, favoritism, or a narrowing of outlook. There's too much power in the hands of the chair. So I do not believe it is a burden to have more than one person making those decisions. The process could be enhanced by having a group looking at appointments and financial decisions and build trust and accountability. Finally, regarding policy areas, my goal is to make sure we stand up for campaign finance reform, workers' rights, environmental justice, the movement for Black lives, social justice, Medicare for all, child development, and education should be a priority, as our Constitution says.
Thank you, Delaine. Thank you so much. Let me see some of those snaps. That's right. That's right. I see somebody wearing some red shoes. Excellent. Now, the next question we want to ask of all our candidates is really getting to the nuts and bolts of what we're doing here today. Delaine, you said, what do we stand for? What do we stand for in the Democratic Party? We need to have that vision. And I believe that vision comes in progressive platforms. And that is the next question we have for you today. If elected in your position, what will you do to move the Democratic Party forward with this progressive direction? Not mainstream type of progressive type of labeling that we've been seeing, but the actions that come with that. What will you do? And we're going to start off with Delaine.
Well, in my conversations, most Democrats in California want to move the party in a more progressive direction and believe we should be leading on issues like Medicare for all, protecting the environment, and education. As someone who spent 4 terms in the Assembly and was successful in passing many bills, I know how to move our party and elected officials. Our platform is strong in many areas, but some of the elected officials who say they champion progressive legislation, when they're veered to the center once they get into office, and they sort of forget about what it says in the platform. We must understand some of the decisions of our elected representatives are driven by their desire for campaign contributions over their stated values. I believe When we live by our stated values, we will attract not only more engagement, but we will increase our donor base significantly. The Sierra Club will be our partner rather than scolding the Democratic Party for getting in bed with the fossil fuel industry. And the $330,000 that Norma mentioned that our party chair took from Sempra Energy. It's disgraceful. He signed a pledge that said he wouldn't do that. When we stand by our professed values, public interest groups become our allies in combating climate change, standing up for environmental issues. Also, we need to champion more progressive candidates that better reflect the districts they serve. Some of the disengagement this last cycle was due to communities not excited that more moderate candidates got the nod from the party when many of those candidates did not win. When we have more progressive representation in our committees and in our parties, there will be more voices speaking up for candidates that represent our democratic values. We choose people that we believe for some preset list of criteria that are electable, when in fact, they are not, because they do not reflect the region that they serve. We need a rigorous process to determine who the best candidates are, and an inclusive one. At the end of the day, Democrats throw the word progressive around, but when I'm chair, we'll hold our party and our elected officials accountable to those values and to our platform. And that California Democratic Party that dares to go boldly forward will be one that we can all be proud to be part of. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put the democracy back in the Democratic Party.
Thank you, Delaine. I still reflect on what Delaine said when she last spoke with Our Revolution Orange County. And what she articulated was the fact that men should not be, men that believe in equality should not be intimidated by quality women. Is that accurate to say, Delaine?
I usually say it as men of quality are not threatened by women's equality.
Quality. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have some more. If any of our attendees would like to post a question in the chat, you're welcome to do so we can ask the candidates. I'm going to pose a question for Miss Norma Alcala.
Yes.
Norma, can you hear me okay? Just want to make sure. Okay, yep. And can you share with us how the controller role is integral to how the California Democratic Party works and what you would like to bring?
Well, right now, basically, the controller's role is just to hand out reports. A lot of the work's done by the party staff, in terms of collecting money, and we have a set of donors. We have our unions. We have great philanthropists that also contribute to the party. But we have also taken money, as everyone knows, that goes contrary to the wishes of 3,000 delegates. So the Democratic Party has a list on the Cadem site. It's called Follow the Money, and you can see where the money, is coming from. But we don't necessarily know how the money is being spent or where it's being allocated. And there's a very small group of individuals who make those decisions. And that's not even the entire executive board. That normally comes just from the chair and a few insiders within the party. So my hope when I become controller is to have monthly meetings with our central committees. Some of the central committees are really hurting right now. They don't have, the robust budgets that places like San Diego or Orange County have. So what I'd like to see within the party also is I'd like to sort of, like, you've heard of sister cities, how they help each other. Well, I think we need to have that also done within the central committees. And why am I focusing so much on the central committees? Because they do the heavy lifting. They're the ones that are out there, getting good Democrats and progressives elected to those school boards, elected to those city councils, to the supervisorial. And I'm sorry, my phone's going off. Let me turn it off. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Where was I? Oh, so that's why I believe that the central committees really need to be in on these conversations. And in terms of the party, I think we need to open the books. When I got on my school board, there was a lot of contention all the time. We had the teachers coming in, and parents, and they were angry because our teachers wanted raises. And I have to tell you, without going into it, a lot of times there was a huge divide. And we had a new superintendent, and I told her, let's open the books, okay? We know we don't have a lot of money. I'm sure we all want to give our teachers raises because they deserve them, but let's have them look at our books and see where they can help us. And I'm going to tell you, ever since then, we were able to get our teachers raises. We didn't have to cut any of our programs. We found out that actually some of our programs were being duplicated and stuff. If we allow an opening of the books within the California Democratic Party, this is buy-in for all the delegates to know where the money is coming from and where it needs to go. So
Good.
these are some of the things I would do in terms of reform for the party.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you.
Sure.
And let's go now to Cindi, who is wanting to run as regional director. A similar question to what was asked of Delaine. If elected, how will you use that position to move, how will you use your position, to move the party forward in a more progressive direction?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really no secret that it can be hard to get people to care about issues that don't affect them personally, whether that's at a national or local level. And that's clearly having an influence on the number of people that we get to the polls. So how do we get people to care about progressive policies like Medicare for all, Green New Deal, affordable housing, and police reform? Well, I really think that it's about getting people to care early in the process. Yes, we need to get people to the polls during election years, but it's also about getting people motivated to have a say on what that ballot even looks like, especially down ballot, right? That's how you get people to care and invested about the success of those candidates. It's not just showing up right before an election to ask for a vote. Part of what I feel low voter turnout has to do a lot with is Democrats that are candidates that are running are really not making the effort to engage early in the process. There are a lot of people that are elected officers who no longer run grassroots campaigns. So part of it is folks really running and stepping up to run. And part of it is incumbents continuing to do grassroots organizing. So that means going door to door. That means having conversations on the phone, like one-on-ones, like I've been doing. It's not just about sending, a mail piece and feeling like that's how you're going to get elected. You really need to do the work. And that's how I feel we can pass these policies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cindi. We want to hear now a little bit from Victor Valladares, Region Director, running for Region Director 17, Region 17. Victor, tell us, if elected, what is that going to look like for you, for us as a progressive? What kind of values are you going to be really focusing on and pushing forward in that new position?
Thank you, Betty. So one of the things that I want to get across with everybody, all the delegates in Region 17, this is not about progressives versus moderates. We're all Democrats. And what I will do is to make sure what Senator Bernie Sanders has done since day one is focus on issues, right? So we have to, I'm thinking long-term, I'm thinking beyond me, right? On what we're going to be doing to set a precedence for the next generation of leaders, right? As we've seen, the Democratic Party has seen folks re-register as independents. It's a party, it's not even a party, but it's like one of the largest voting blocks or voting groups out there, right? So Delaine mentioned something really important earlier, that a lot of people are re-registering as independents because the party, people don't know where the party is at, right? They don't stick to their platform accountability. They do a lot of lip service, but they don't deliver. As we all know here, some establishment Democrats, the progressive wing, the radical individuals. I'm sorry, but I will be proud to wear that radical label because I care about people. I care about issues. I think about the new generation, our children. Are they going to have an inhabitable earth, right, to live in? Are they going to be victims of systemic racism? Hold police accountable. and so forth, right? So for me, it's to be focusing on issues and to educate folks that are not politically involved, but activists, right? How do we educate the activists that don't believe in the system to be part of the system, to transform it in the issues, right? That's what I want to do, and that's what I have been doing with the title or without a title. That's what we got to continue doing as a party, and making sure that everybody's listening, because it just takes, one person to be leading and uplifting everybody else.
Thank you, Victor. There's a lot of talk in the Democratic Party and very little listening. Am I right? So thank you so much, everyone. I want to not, dismiss the next role. Diana Love, you are running for secretary of the party, and it is such a powerful position. I want to know from you, what does your vision look like? What does your vision look like? What are we going to stand for under your leadership? And how are you going to really exemplify those progressive values that Victor was just talking about? It's about doing, not talking, and really moving the party forward. Diana, give us some love. See what I did there?
Thank you. I want to expand on all the things that everyone else is saying. They are absolutely right with everything that they are saying. But I want to start by telling you that per the bylaws of the California Democratic Party, the secretary position is very minimal. It's just to maintain all the records and serve all the required notices. Staff does quite a bit of the work. So what I would like to do is I want to expand the number of workshops and training programs for the local activists who are newcomers, who are immigrants and undocumented. And I think this can be done by creating opportunities within the clubs and the central committees and organizations where there are experienced leaders. And in these areas, you have volunteers that could either online or in person share their best practices with regard to community organizing and forms of activism. I am for policies that are for the people. And I am hopeful that when the recall is over with for the governor, that he will come on board and support undocumented and newcomers that are coming into the party as well. And another thing I would like to do, and I would hope that all of you would look this up, is to support AB 1096 by Assemblymember Luz Rivas. She's trying to eliminate the word alien, which relates to immigration. That is a very harmful word. And I think that in supporting that, we can have new people come and be a part of our party and feel important and welcomed. And other things I would like to do is to establish what I call an information greeting house. And that is just where you can send out e-blasts and where information can be received in, and to provide ongoing progress reports to the constituents and to the delegation in our community. And I believe so much that our party stands for diversity and equity. So as a Black woman, we need more Black and brown people in our party. And I'm ready to stand up and lead very proudly and with dignity and with respect. And I want to see us just continue to go forward. We're living in a time where our freedoms are fragile. And I believe our voices have to be heard. All human beings need to be treated with respect and dignity, free from violence and discrimination. And I'm advocating for all the 58 counties. And the last thing I want to leave you with is this. In all of this, we need to continue to let our legislators know that Californians are struggling. And we want real solutions for racial and environmental justice. And I will not back down from fighting even harder to support people like you and I as we begin our road of recovery. And in voting rights, I want to see us pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. I think we should be able to honor his legacy by championing the voting rights and ensuring that every American has free and fair access to the ballot.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm with you right there. I was labeled and continue to be labeled alien. So, definitely on board with that. It's interesting. I feel normal. All right, so I want to just start off with some of the questions that are on the chat. Please remember, if you have any questions, put them in the chat right now so we can ask all these candidates. I'm really excited for all these candidates that are running. I don't think I've ever been so excited to really know that such a large progressive slate is running. I know you're not running as a slate, but just the way it seems right here, it's just a great group of people running, and we want to hear
great candidates. Yes, Betty, these
absolutely
are great candidates. Yeah.
I'm excited. Okay, so I'm very excited at the future of our party and what that might be like. So I feel like there's a vision for me here. One of the questions that's on the chat, we want to know from the candidates, what battles are you facing from the establishment in your current candidacy? Norma, you want to start off on answering this one?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for all of us progressives, we're talking issues, and others are just, they're using the same platitudes as always. But what has happened with the party, and I strongly support unions, it's become a one issue. We have Rusty, pretty much hand selecting folks that he wanted to run with him. And I told you, the party is run pretty much like a country club. We have people who have been in the party maybe a little too long. And I agree with Victor. I think what we need to do is have term limits, because what happens is when you have people that are in the party too long, they grow immune to progressive ideas. They also grow immune to criticisms. They have a disconnect with what is really happening and what really needs to be addressed. So for me, that's what I'm seeing. I've gotten out there, I've talked to issues, and I'm having a very difficult time because it's the fix is already in. Let's put it that way. So it's going to take a lot of independent thinkers to really not be afraid and vote for the people that they know represent them and what's best for California.
Gracias, Norma. I failed to remind everyone that in this portion we have 1 minute. So gracias, Norma.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
It was on me. It's on me. So you had 1 minute. You did great. Thank you so much. And I just want to go ahead and turn it over to William for our next question.
Sorry. I would like to direct this question towards Delaine. The question came up of what is the California Democratic Party going to do to help with redistricting? Because as some of our attendees may not know, we're about to lose one congressional seat in the state of California. And so this now further could threaten electorally what could come. So Delaine, would you like to answer that or respond to that question, please?
Well, I believe the thing that party needs to do is to get more nimble and get more organized. We have not been doing enough to get people involved in the Democratic Party in purple and red parts of the state, even though there's a sea change of population happening. You all know that people are moving out of the San Francisco Bay Area and out of LA and San Diego and Orange County. They're moving to more affordable parts of the state because with distance work, they can work and sell a very small little tract house in one of these, suburban areas and buy the Ponderosa. So Placer County just had a 15% growth spurt. That's amazing. And so all over this, I just talked to a friend who I went to high school with. She's been living back east for the last 45 years. Her grandson just moved to El Dorado Hills with his wife and kids. And so right now in California, the party has to get more nimble about getting involved. And that's why I want to see us build a much better system for fighting for nonpartisan races so that we begin to build our base, build our bench in some of these other areas, because these people that are going to run for city council, school district, and board of supervisors are eventually going to run for the legislature and for the Congress. But the party has got to get ready. And that means, not just ignore and dismiss. I mean, they talk a good game, but we're not doing enough for some of our smaller counties or even some of our medium-sized counties.
Totally agree with
that
you,
have been
Delaine.
historically
Sorry
good.
to cut you off. We do have 1 minute. Just want to make sure I honor the time for all the candidates. Thank you so much. The next question, Victor Valladares, step on up. We want to ask you is, if elected, Victor, how will you grow the party in rural areas, right? We hear a lot of Democrats reaching out when it's time to vote, and then people are forgotten. People in rural areas don't feel the party cares for them, don't feel they include them. How are you going to change that, friend?
Absolutely. Democrats have
1 minute.
Yes, Democrats have wanted a system of the Electoral College. Well, I believe that we need to have a system similar to the Electoral College, because yes, those voices in the Central Valley, most of Central Valley, California, if you're not part of if you're not part of LA, San Diego, Orange County, Sacramento, or up north, like, they control all of the power. There's not equitable representation throughout the state. There's a false sense of democracy, but we all know that those executive officers from the LA party, San Diego, and up north control the whole state. And what I would do is find a way to make it more equitable for all of the state to have a say.
Thank you so much for staying on time, and thank you for speaking on equity. So thank you. That was a big. I mean, you caught me off guard right there. So thank you for that. Wilson, go ahead, take it away.
Oh my goodness, yes. So Victor, you're running for Region 17 Director. Cindi, you're running for Region 15 Director. What do you find as an uphill climb from one of our attendees? What do you find as an uphill climb running as a woman for Regional Director? And do you?
Yeah, I feel like this is the right space to be vulnerable and say that, I never expected that running in this election would be this difficult as a woman. As a first-time delegate, I've been asked multiple times what makes me so qualified to run against my opponent. And I just really wonder if those same questions were asked of my opponent, given that he himself was the first-time delegate when he ran for Regional Director in 2019. A lot of this feels like a double standard. This type of qualification doesn't seem to exist for a lot of men who have connections in politics. But, I'm not giving up. I want to be able to tell other newcomers who are women that they can be a part of a fair election that will consider you based on the skills that you can bring and not necessarily who you know in the party. I think that it's intimidating for a lot of women to think about the process of running as it being like, something that's like an outside experience. So, we just feel like it's something that other folks are going to step up to do. But the truth is that, we all have experiences, we all have struggles, and we all have obstacles that we overcome. And we bring that knowledge to the work that we do by running for office. So I really encourage other women to stick to it and just keep at it. And I'm grateful for everyone who stepped up and really helped me by empowering me to do just that. Thank you.
Cindi, thank you so much. Totally feel what you are saying there. Now, Diana Love. Diana, in the party, we talk about outreach. In the party, we talk about including people, bringing people to the table. Dr. Bill, who's on the call, by the way, taught me this, and this is the next question. We keep doing what's called in-reach. We keep grabbing people from the same circles. We keep appointing people from the same circles. We keep just growing the party within this little silo. How are you going to help us do true outreach into actual communities so that we can truly be a party that represents the constituents? Diana?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I have to come to each of you. I have to come to the central committees. I have to come to the people who do the work, who know people, to come and say, these are people we want involved. How can we get them involved? We have to listen to you. We have to know who those people are, and we won't know who they are if we don't reach out. We must continue to have conversation. That is an absolute must. And people need to come in and let us know. Not be on the sideline. They've got to raise their voices. That is how we're going to know how to bring people in. But I wanted to very quickly, if I could, address a couple things that was in the chat. Tim said to if you wanted to have an anxious question, to say it. I believe there's someone asked about accountability, what to do about holding us accountable. To hold us accountable, complain. If you don't hear what you want, we complain. Make your voice known. And then someone else talked about term limits. The party does not recognize term limits. I have talked to them about term limits. We need to again raise our voice. And the one thing that we need to do, it takes so long to get a change done. We only meet 3 to 4 times a year. So we need to have more meetings. We need to have special meetings. We need to speak up is what we need to do,
Diana,
and to keep pounding.
Wow.
Thank you, Diana. And
Yep,
just
thank
to
you.
come back to the original question, I didn't quite hear what is your vision for truly doing what's called outreach, reaching out to those individuals that, don't even know that party exists. How are we going to move away from the same people in different positions? We have people in 3 positions. And it's not that there aren't individuals interested, is that we keep appointing, we keep letting people run for multiple positions. What's your vision to truly do this thing called outreach? Maybe you could just give us a quick 10, 15 seconds.
Well, what we have to do is we still have to get together to get the people who are running for the same positions to come together and support one. If we're not getting people elected, that means we have to show them that if they want things to continue the way they are, that they're going to keep running for the same positions over and over again.
Thank you so much. And I think I might have confused my question. I'm talking about one person holding multiple positions in the party.
Okay.
That are just, and so how are we going to share that? But thank you so much.
Change the bylaws. Change the bylaws.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. William, take it back to you.
Okay. I'm gonna pick up on what Diana shared regarding accountability and move this question more for Norma, because she mentioned and talked about unions. Regarding unions, Norma,
Yes.
how can we detect and address the corruption in unions? I know that we obviously have our grievances with the current incumbent chair, which we are trying to get rid of with Delaine. However, that does not mean the problem of corruption will go away where in that regard. Can you speak to that, please?
Okay. First of all, I want to say, I do strongly support unions, and unions have supported me. I've had teachers unions support me when I ran for school board, and I had several unions, firemen unions support me when I ran for city councils. I wish everyone actually belonged to a union because, they make certain that their workers do get, decent wages and safe working conditions. However, as I said, the party, is very diverse. And I think what's happening with the unions, and we want them within the party, but they cannot be the only issue, nor can they be the only, stakeholders within the California Democratic Party. Right. So, what my hope is that, we continue to have their involvement, but we have so many demographics out there. That's why we have the different caucuses, and that's where you have your grassroots organizers. So, I think the party has to take a step back and realize, look, we have, I'd say 16% of our workforce. I think that's what I read. 16.2% of our workforce is in unions here in California. It's fantastic. I wish everyone belonged to a union. But the point is, California has a lot of people who are not, and we're not reaching those folks out there. An interesting thing, I don't know if I mentioned, I've been on so many Zoom calls today, but Delaine touched upon something very important. The party has lost touch with really what's going on out there. That's why we lost those congressional seats, in the Central Valley. And that's why we lost those propositions, because the party is just thinking one-dimensionally. And we need people who are going to include everyone in these conversations. So anyway, this is what I would say, that we do need our unions, but they cannot be the only focus of the Democratic Party. Because we have so many people who we're not reaching, and they are not in unions, and we need the diversity in the party, and we need people who can look at it holistically, not just one-dimensionally.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to further this discussion, obviously, in question to Delaine. So we have AB 1400 up, which is basically a revised single-payer bill that's before us. as chair, how would you seek to hold our elected officials accountable to uphold and to pull forward, being that we won't miss out on it being blocked again due to big insurance money and big money? Can you speak to that, please?
Well, thank you. Let me just say that I did serve 8 years in the legislature, and at the time I was named Rookie of the Year. I got a lot done. If you look at my history, I know my way around that building. So I do think if you have a more nimble chair that will in fact help the leadership of the party to unite and to be outspoken up and down the state on these issues that are near and dear to our heart, it'll be much more effective. I have experience, and I also got a lot done as superintendent of public instruction. Remember, the year I got elected, the Republicans won 5 out of 8 constitutional offices. I was one of only 3 Democrats in constitutional offices. Now we have all 8, but at the time we had only 3 and we lost the assembly. And yet I still got us moved from 47th in per pupil spending up to 27th. That's a huge jump in 8 years. And I did it by, getting people united in the field to go to their local legislators when they came home on Thursday afternoon or Friday afternoon, to put the pressure on them to do the right thing and to restore the money for various programs for schools and we put a lot of money back in higher education as well. So you need somebody who's nimble, who knows organizing as well as being a partisan Democrat. And that's what is right now. We are not doing a very good job of putting pressure on people in their own districts. We go and lobby them in Sacramento where they have about 2 minutes. Show up in the office when they're in the district. Bring a team.
Thank you so much. I know it's so hard to answer a question in 1 minute, but I appreciate you making that great effort. We have so much we want to talk about, so we're trying to really get through some of these questions. Cindi, I want to ask the following question from you. We hear a lot of talk, and I mean a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion within this party. Cindi, tell us, how are you going to push away from these categories that seem to be very superficial in terms of including people and truly moving toward a party that really welcomes the experiences and histories of the diverse members of the party, rather than just, like I said, superficially, what we call tokenism within this party? We need to move away from tokenism and truly including people. Give us your vision of that and what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, my experience organizing through Planned Parenthood, I really gained the knowledge to understand the structure that is needed when we, organize through a region. We need to really push to accomplish the long list of objectives that we have. And I'm privileged to have the time to devote to this work, but I know a lot of working families are not. So really creating the space to make it accessible to all is really what is going to help us in this movement. I know people who are dedicated and passionate to seeing their communities prosper. We just need to create that space for them. We really need to do a better job locally to uplift young leaders, and specifically in my region. When we talk about representation and how that matters, it's the same thing for youth. They need to see young people in these offices and leadership to feel like that's space for them too, that they can do it too. Young people are inspired and empowered when they see young folks in leadership, and that's what I hope to do.
Thank you. Right, AOC reminded us when she was running, you can't be what you can't see. So thank you, Cindi, for stepping up, and then the youth is going to look at you and say, I can do that too. So and then our question here for Victor Valladares, you're up next. Victor Valladares, as region director, tell me, what does it look like for you to change the process, the appeal process that currently exists in the Democratic Party of Orange? I'm sorry, not Orange County, but the California Democratic Party. We know that complaints have been issued. We know that situations arise that require a body to really investigate and to put forward decisions. What we want to know is the appeals seem to always lack transparency and really accountability. Tell us, what is that going to look like under your leadership?
Thank you, Betty. That's a really good question, because I have been in the process of an appeals case regarding a certain issue that happened in the Democratic Party, I would create an independent entity to review, and that's not biased and hand chosen by the party, because what we've seen is people just wait till the last minute to send you information on the appeal process, right? And chosen individuals that either not belong to unit, but just are in the palm of the hands of the party officers that elect them to review these positions. So I believe that having delegates be part of this process in order to select an independent entity to do a transparent investigation regarding the appeal process. And
15
do
seconds.
more,
15
yeah, and
seconds,
not
Victor.
in
Yeah.
45, 60 days to review a case, right? Yes, take time thoroughly, but just expedite to that's appealing the cases.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Victor. Thank you to everyone who answered the questions. Again, we appreciate how
Thank you so much, guys.
you worked so hard to answer the questions. They weren't easy questions, but you did a fantastic job. We thank everyone. I just want to say personally, I find your races all very exciting. I'm hopeful to be part of this party, and I'm really hoping we tear it up in this election. So don't forget that voting is now open, early voting. You must have gotten an email. If you haven't gotten an email, please do email support for that. The email will include a link, and in that link, you will have your own unique ID, and voting can start as soon as this forum is over with these lovely candidates. So let me turn it over to William there.
And for those who are not delegates that cannot vote, if you know of a delegate in California, get the word out to him, to her or him or them, and let them know that we have great candidates before you that presented tonight. And thank you again for the candidates. Thank you for sharing the mic with me, Betty, and just glad to be a part of your space. And the struggle continues.
Struggle continues, absolutely, but we're going to get a little closer with Norma, Victor, Diana, Delaine, Cindi, and David. Thank you so much. And Tim, we'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Betty, Reverend William, your amazing co-host. Thank you to all the candidates. You're all amazing. Some of mine are good friends. And at Our Revolution, we are currently working to create the pressure necessary to make the Democratic Party actually live up to their own stated progressive values. Our work paid off in a big way this month when we helped progressives take over the Nevada State Democratic Party by sweeping all 5 leadership positions in the state party elections. So Our Revolution California is actually co-hosting a phone bank to call delegates and ask them to vote for one of the candidates you heard from tonight. We have a phone bank for Delaine Eastin. Look out for other phone banks from the other candidates. I'm going to go ahead and drop the actual link to the Mobilize link event page for her phone bank here. So you can go ahead and click on that, sign up, help her call delegates to get people to vote for Delaine. And hopefully we'll hear some other phone banks from other candidates popping up here soon. And thank you guys so much for joining us today. Don't forget, we kicked off our 2021 membership drive last month. You can support our movement as a sustaining member for as little as $5 or more a month. And you can sign up at the link in the chat. And yeah, go ahead and make sure you call all your friends who are delegates to vote for these candidates. They're amazing. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And Betty, why don't you take us out?
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I'm really inspired. I always get pumped at the end, especially because I get to hear all these amazing ideas that you have brought to us. We are a strong party, but we have been weakened by lack of transparency, corruption, transactional politics. And what we are hearing from you is more transformational. And I'm not just saying that because I understand what it's like to run for office. And it's not easy. And I just want to say thank you for actually stepping up, putting on your red shoes, Victor, and running for office, especially within the Democratic Party. So we want you to know we have your back, but we want to also remind you that we are going to count on you to have our back as well. We are a strong party, like I said, but we are not using our talents. The people that make up this party are talented leaders that often get overlooked, and we want you to help us change that. I want to thank everyone that joined tonight. the 70 some 90 people that started to join tonight. This is important. We can no longer stand by and let somebody tell us who to vote for. Am I right? Let me hear you. We can't ask people to tell us what to think. We need to do the work. We need to be active. We need to be invited into this work, and we need to be invested. And we are invested here at Our Revolution, and we are invested in you. Candidates, thank you so much. I wish you the best. And I want to remind you, speaking up, standing up, not just when we're running for office, am I right? But when we are in office, because that's when the work really begins. But I'm preaching to the choir because you know all that. And that is why you decided to run, because you can do that. If you look at the image right now, you see all those red sneakers. Please, if you win, grab yourself some red sneakers. I'm telling you, they give you wings. So thank you so much. Remember, our platform in the Democratic Party is a progressive platform. But guess what? People have forgotten. So please remember to bring up your platform and remind yourself what we are really fighting for. What do Democrats stand for? Because my friends, I'm afraid that a lot of people in the party have forgotten, from the chair all the way to our local members in this county. So we're gonna change that. Am I right? Let me hear you snap. Thank you so much. I wanna say, buenas noches, Democrats, with the lower D. You make me proud to be a Democrat. Over to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Dr. Betty, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. This concludes our California statewide meeting for Our Revolution California and our candidate town hall. Thank you so much for joining us.